Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Shrimp Tank. I'm your co-host, Ted Jenkin, here with my co-host, Lee Heisman. And every week, we bring you some of the brightest and best CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners all around the United States. This is how you get your MBA as an entrepreneur, this combination of street smarts and book smarts. If this is the first time that you've tuned into The Shrimp Tank, you can always get all of the replays of all of our shows at shrimptankpodcast.com. Or if you're in your car, makes no sense to listen to the radio. There's nothing good on there. You want to download us at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or anywhere on the internet. We are on all the major channels. We've done more than 1,000 podcasts in Atlanta alone and thousands across the country. We've got studios in Seattle, Houston, Boca Raton, Charleston, South Carolina, and all over the country because so many people want to hear the stories of entrepreneurs. And Lee, I'm excited today because we've got on a company that is taking off like crazy, Frame Wealth Partners. We've got on Jay Duffy and Morgan Watson. They are the owners of the company. And we're going to talk to them about what's happening in the financial services business because it's just growing like wildfire right now. You know that, right?
Oh, absolutely, guys. Listen. Oh, I'm sorry, gentlemen. Go ahead.
No, you know it's growing, right?
Oh, yeah, it's always growing. I've been around it, guilt by association, gentlemen. I've been around this guy for years, so I know all the ups and downs, the headaches, and all the joys of doing financial planning and how challenging it can be.
So let me ask you guys a question, just in general about this business. You know, all businesses require different licensing rules and regulations. So can anybody call themselves a financial advisor, or do you need licenses to actually open up one of these businesses?
You know, that's a great question. And it's funny because you don't need any license to name yourself a financial advisor.
Right, like Susie Crazy Orman.
Yeah, exactly. Matter of fact, what we find is the more you're in public, the less licensing you need because of the compliance overtures and everything. So we tend to see most of the talking heads aren't licensed advisors.
We're seeing a lot more TikTok stars more now than ever, I would say.
Isn't that crazy that people will get their financial advice on TikTok?
Yeah.
Well, guys, let me jump in real quick. And Jay, I saw your history, and Morgan, your history as well. You know, you had worked in the financial industry, but it looks like you broke off and opened up your own firm. Is that accurate? Talk about that transition from corporate America to this entrepreneurial spirit that I see you're kind of gleaming here.
Yeah, sure. For me, I was actually in a leadership role with a large insurance broker dealer for about 15 years. Always had the aspiration of going back into practice, and I wanted to partner with someone that I trusted, had the same values in approaching clients. And Morgan and I started working together about 3 years ago, and made this transition most recently about 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's been important because, as Jay said, we kind of went through this process. We find really as a fiduciary role that you need true open architecture, and that's really important. If all you sell is apples, no matter what everybody wants, the answer is an apple, right? And having the ability to look across the industry as a whole to find solutions for people really helped. I think it really serves the clients best.
So let me ask you guys, is this the kind of business that does it take a lot of capital to start it? And when do you start to actually see making money in this business? How long would it take if somebody started this?
It's interesting. I think it takes a lot more sweat capital than it does financial capital to start the business. When you first start out in the business, and I think anyone who's done this a while will tell you, it's more of a marketing job than it is a financial planning job. You're really trying to acquire clients. Over time, you put the work in, you do the marketing, it becomes, 3 years into it, it's kind of marketing and financial planning. 5 years in, it really becomes a financial planning career. And that's important to understand because having other advisors that you can imprint off of when you're a young advisor in the business is really, really important.
So let me ask you guys
Lee,
a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Morgan's being kind of nice. It does take a little bit of capital to build this business. In fact, I think he's coined the phrase that he's always spending money ever since I partnered with him. Because I'm always coming in with a new idea, like, hey, this is another avenue that we need to drive our marketing, which costs money. And so I'm always thinking of 5 steps, 10 steps ahead of where we need to take our practice. Again, I want to make this a nationwide brand where Frame Wealth Partners is in the homes of everyone across the country. And that takes a lot of marketing. It takes a lot of media attention. So that's been my focus, and that how we've taken the practice to that side. And every time I walk into his office, he's always like, oh, what are you bringing me now?
Jay,
where are we spending?
I know where Morgan stands. I feel that way when my wife walks anywhere in the house. Like, oh, what are we spending now? Makes complete sense. And
Exactly.
gentlemen, don't forget, I'm the odd man out, not in your financial space, as both of you and as of Ted. But I always wondered, what does it feel like when the market is down? How many calls are you getting for the common person like myself? And it's important. I kind of see the stress. I don't have to look at the market. I just have to look at Ted's face sometimes, and I can deal with the calls and the stress that he gets. How much does that play a factor in your enjoyment of your job? And what do you do to deal with that and educate your clients?
Great question. I will tell you, it's funny because I think it's what we find is a little different than what we perceive it to be. At the end of the day, our job is to manage fear and manage greed with our clients, right? And that's really important. When the market's up, we're pulling back on the reins. Don't get ahead of your skis. When the market's down, understand we're on a path. We've anticipated these things will happen. What I find when it comes to clients, they tend to appreciate you when you're managing the fear, and they tend to resent you when you're managing the greed. So actually, bad markets, we tend to have often, I won't say better relationships, but we tend to be in step more when the market's going through the roof and you're trying to, keep them from getting out in front of their skis. Then they tend to push back a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because all businesses have their nuances. How do you decide as a business owner? I'm wondering, as you grow a services business, how you price out your services for clients, because that always seems to be the hardest part of any consulting or service business. When we interview people on the tank, how did you decide that, and how do you think about it going forward as the business grows?
Yeah, Ted, I think it's all around how much time is devoted to the client. That was the determining point of the cost of working with us. So again, a financial planning relationship versus a purely investment only relationship is going to be a lot more comprehensive, a lot more time spent with the client. So they're going to get a lot more value out of that relationship. So that's going to cost a little bit more. And that's where we've really driven with our I would say our relationships with our clients. And to go back to Lee's original question, when clients, the market's going down, our clients that are planning clients are not so worried, because we're going back to their plan and saying, hey, this is what the plan we established when we originally started about a year ago. You're still on track, even though the market is down. No need to worry.
Let's shift gears a little bit here, guys. We love to do a section that's called hot or not. We talk to business owners about the trends that are going out there. As you hire people in your company, is it hot or not to hire 1099 contractors?
I think it really depends on what part of the market you're in. We're seeing more of non-1099 employees. They're looking for the benefits. They're looking to be more ingrained in the group. Again, it's kind of like an internship once you graduate med school is, all right, I'm licensed to do it, but I don't have the experience. And having someone to work with and mentor is really, really important.
So I have a hot or not for you gentlemen as well. I see that you've left corporate America, you became partners. And the old adage, right? The only ships that truly sink are partnerships. You guys seem very happy together. Talk a little about, is it hot or not to have a partner or to do this on your own, and then explain why?
I would say definitely hot to have a partner, especially one that has similar philosophy. We all have the similar goal, but independently, we operate very differently. From a DISC assessment, we're extremely different. So he's kind of the yin to my yang, and that's really, really helpful when making major decisions. That's my personal beliefs around it. I don't know what your thoughts are, Morgan.
Yeah, no, I think the other part of it too is really from a client experience standpoint is you can't know everything. It's, the US tax code's, 4 feet tall now. So having a team of experts who really specialize in different areas is really important. We want to be masters of each area, not generalists across the board.
Oh, I like that. Very true. Not the master of none, right? The generalist of everybody, not the master of none. Go ahead, Ted.
Now, I know you're in this business, but for business owners out there, hot or not to get a buy-sell agreement?
Super hot.
Super hot.
It's one of the most overlooked. We find business owners are so focused on growing the business, but they never do that what if planning. And that can be critical.
And Morgan, can you explain to viewers out there, what is a buy-sell agreement? Look, I'm looking at the 3 financial guys that know this, but I want to take a step back for you. A lot of us don't know what that is.
So Jay and I both have spouses. So we obviously formed this partnership together. Jay's got 20 something years of experience doing it. I've got 30 years. My wife has 0 experience doing it. Jay's wife has 0 experience doing it. So what happens if something were to happen to me? Now Jay's a partner with my wife who doesn't know the business, doesn't want to know the business. She just wants her money from her share of the business. So a buy-sell agreement simply says, if something happens to me, my spouse, my estate, whoever it may be, has to sell it to Jay. Jay has to buy it. So we get the best of both worlds. He has the business. My wife has the proceeds and the value of that business.
One of the things that happens is that we've changed as a society, meaning that ever since COVID, the world changed. I think you guys were telling us off camera in here that there used to be 40 people working in your office, and now there's something like 6. So is it hot or not to allow your employees to have hybrid, or do you think people should be back to work, or do you think they could sit at home all day and watch The Price is Right?
For me, I can't sit at home. I have 3 young children, so if they're home at all, I can't get any work done. Or my wife thinks that I'm available to do other things as opposed to work. So that's not good for me personally. I think hybrid could be utilized as an incentive. So hey, if I'm hitting my metrics, I'm doing 3 days a week in the office and 2 days remotely. I think that could be an incentive piece of a work agreement. But I don't think hybrid is personally the way to go, at least in our industry.
Yeah, I think the long term, we're seeing trends of employers wanting employees back into the office. It not only creates that shared vision, but I think it's important to have that communication as well. That was one of the bad parts of COVID. There were a lot of good things that came out of it from a work standpoint, but it made communicating as a team much tougher.
Well, guys, as we roll through this, and I know we just crushed our hot or not section, we do get to our 3rd section, which is plead the 5th. If you guys are aware or not, you get to cumulatively, though, you don't each get to plead the 5th. You get to plead the 5th one time. So I'm going to tee it up. Now, I know you guys have wonderful families and children. I looked at your bio, which is wonderful, but you guys are married at work, right? You're business partners. And it's very easy when I have a husband and wife that are on the screen or in the studio, and it's a very easy question to ask, but I'm going to toss this light one up to you. If you could change one thing about your business partner, what would it be? Morgan, I'll start with you. Go ahead. Oh, Jay,
okay.
Jay, wait, hold on a second.
I jumped in.
That's the best part. I was going to go Morgan. Jay's like, no, I got an answer right now. I already know what
I got my answer very quickly. If I can get him to say no to something, because everyone's coming to him about something, do this, do that. Can I get you to do this? He takes on way too much. And,
I like that.
And inevitably under promises, he under delivers on his promises.
Fair.
Yeah, I would, in that vein, I would tell you, as Jay mentioned earlier, he's always got new ideas. So he's always walking in the office. Hey, what about this? And I am someone who tends to be focused on what I'm doing at the time. So Jay will come in with 7 different ideas and 7 different things and then walks back out. And I'm like, all right, I've forgotten what I'm doing, let alone the other 6. All I remember is the very last one. So sometimes scheduling time or at least coming in with a little bit more of an agenda could be helpful.
Well, plead the fifth here. Have you ever had to eat dinner at a client's home?
I have.
Had to or wanted to.
Either way, either way.
I've had to and not wanted to. So yes, I've had to and not wanted to. But did.
Yeah. Funny story. I met a client late at night at their home, and I just had a big dinner, go to their house, and the whole time I'm there, they're talking about how his wife spent all day cooking this big meal, homemade bread, all this great dinner, and I had to eat it. And I'm like, oh my heavens. So I forced it down. It was really good, but it was just, I literally just eaten a full meal. So that meal stayed with me till I got out of their driveway. And we had to do a little that one didn't last for too long. It was tough.
So gentlemen, in all of 25 years of owning multiple businesses in the commercial printing space, the real estate space, the technology space, there is something that I've done in your space with Ted, and I'm going to ask that question. Have you ever slept at a client's house?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever have to till I did with Ted one night at a Super Bowl. Remember, Ted? We
did have to do that.
That's what I just wanted to. We were somehow we made it out of town, and somehow it was the night that Atlanta was playing the Patriots. We're watching the Super Bowl. They're like, just go upstairs into our kids' rooms, and Ted and I were sleeping in little kids' beds. That was really
that's one of those ones I had to go. Good night, Bert. Good night, Bert.
All right, so gentlemen, I'm going to throw another one at you. This is a low-hanging fruit. I always thought this. I love to know what's important. And I discussed what you would change about your business partner. If I were to have each of your spouses on this interview and I said, what is the one thing they would change about you? What would it be?
Oh, good heavens. That one's easy for me. We have to do so
How
much
much time do we have?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a long list. As my wife likes to tell me, don't bring your work home as far as your work attitude. I tend to be very driven and focused at work. And she doesn't like, she likes a nice, relaxed conversation. I tend to still be in problem solving mode when I walk in the door, and that doesn't go over real well.
Morgan, welcome to the club of entrepreneurs. I like that. Jay, yourself.
Man, I think I would say it's similar to Morgan's, but it's turning off the work mode and turning up the empathy mode. Because in work mode, I have zero empathy when it comes to things. With business partners and so forth, we're pretty blunt here, Morgan and I. But when I got home, I got to turn that off. You know, if my wife's not feeling well and she's sick, I should probably be like, hey, it's just a cold. I should probably be a little bit more empathetic.
Words of wisdom to live by. And I say this, Jay and Morgan, I've done so much work at the Entrepreneurial Center here in Georgia. We were on the board of the first entrepreneurship university in the entire state. I got accredited for that. And I've discussed with entrepreneurs for the past 25 years. I've always said, your biggest and most expensive client is your family. If you cannot turn off your personal problems and walk in that door, not only will you get a divorce, it will cost you more than any client you could ever lose that you would have. So many times I treat my family like clients, and the good news is they're never going to watch any of my shows. I've been doing this for 20 years on TV and on podcasts. They don't listen or watch me. They're sick of it, but I'm telling you, because I know they're not listening. When I get home, I make whatever they're doing the most important, most interesting thing, like I do with certain clients sometimes I have to deal with. So I love my family and I love the clients, but I try to treat them the same way. Good points, Jay and Morgan, as well.
Guys, this has been great. I think it gives people a sense about how, if they ever wanted to get in the financial services business, how it would work. I loved your ideas about what's happening with what you're thinking about with hybrid work, and appreciate you kind of muddling through the plead the fifth. For folks that are watching the broadcast today and thinking to themselves, hey, I need help with taxes. I need help with investments or setting up a Roth IRA or a 401k, or I need to look at my family's protection for insurance, or I want to guarantee myself retirement income down the road. How can folks get in touch with you and learn more about what you do?
Sure. Our website is framewealth.com. So frame is in picture frame, wealth.com. And then we can also provide our information in post comments probably as well.
Well, folks, you got to talk to them. They're the best of the best in the state of Maryland. And I know they have clients all around the country. It isn't just in Maryland, but if you need help, talk to these guys. They started, they built it, they've grown it, and they're one of the most successful in the business. Thanks, guys, so much for spending today with us on the broadcast. Next week, we're going to be talking to Jay Kaufmanly. He is one of the biggest spiritual mentors in the country. And I want to find out if he can be a psychic and know what you're thinking when we get to the podcast. And that'll happen all next week right here on the Shrimp Tank.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the